Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
Well, it's JD, but I'm starting to worry that I was supposed to prepare a song, and apparently I was not prepared. So apologies, everybody, for not coming in here in sing-song fashion. Michelle didn't hit me to the gimmick.
I did not tell you that this would be our tribute to Off Book, the podcast where the entire episode is an improvised musical. Today will be an improvised musical. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Thanks for hipping me to the gimmick.
Yep.
I don't know where
Great
that
podcast.
phrase came from, but it's a thing I'm saying now.
Hip into the gimmick. We're
Make
hip
sure you
to the
hit me to
gimmicks.
the gimmick, Michelle. Michelle!
Yeah.
What's our podcast all about? Why did we call it We Watch Shudder?
Well, we're hip to the gimmick, and the gimmick is Shudder. We watch it. We like it. We talk about it. They don't pay us. We're going to remind you of that every month in case one of the Shudder employees tunes in one day and they're like, what? We don't pay them? We should give them free service. They can have their $6 or $7 per month for free. Except then we're still going to talk shit about your movies sometimes. I'm sorry. It comes with the territory.
We try real hard not to, talk shit, so to speak. I mean,
I try to talk mad shit.
Oh, well, all right. Michelle's a shit talker now, all of a sudden, guys.
I am.
I will be the voice of kindness and reason going forward on this podcast.
Oh, how the turntables.
Yes. Oh, how the turns have tabled. Okay. Guys, we watch original and exclusive Shudder releases. Sometimes we watch other things. Sometimes they're new releases. Sometimes they're archive releases. Sometimes it's a special request. Is that what we're doing? Oh, yes. It's Special Request Day on We Watch Shudder. Michelle, what's the request that we're handling?
The request was for us to do a musical episode, but we're not doing that part. Instead, we watched The Wailing, which was originally on Shudder, and then the second we went to watch it, it was gone. So... if you want to see The Wailing, it's on a lot of services, and I'm sure it will be back.
At the time we decided to do this episode, it was absolutely still available on Shudder. As far as we can tell, it's only left in the last couple of days. It's not an originals or exclusive release, but it was a movie they had on there. And more importantly, it's a movie that one of our wonderful, supportive, glorious listeners reached out to us through the email of all things, not through one of these fancy newfangled social medias, where, by the way, you can find us at We Watch Shudder, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Michelle's responsible for most of that goodness. This was an old-fashioned email, mail@wewatchshudder.com, from our new friend Leo. Leo said, I really like The Wailing. I would love to hear you guys talk about it. And I said, well, Leo, I tell you what, man. The Wailing is a movie I have known about for quite some time, and I know it has a positive reputation, but I also know it's 2.5 hours long, and there's lots of subtitles, and that's real intimidating to my ADHD. But we made it through it. We said, you know what? For you, Leo, for you... I will put myself through it. I will watch 2.5 hours of subtitled The Wailing, and that's what we did.
I have to confess that I did not watch it 100%. I was at like a 90% today. It was a very busy day. I just need to confess, in case you ask me a specific question, like where did you stand on this part of the movie, I'm going to be like, I was typing an email at that point. But I have seen it in the past, and I had strong opinions already, and it reaffirmed those strong opinions.
So you mean you didn't stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning watching 2.5 hours of The Wailing, Michelle?
The opposite. I woke up at 4 a.m. because yesterday I was very tired and I took a nap at 6 p.m. and then it was 10 hours later. So mine was an early morning spook
I have
fest
had those kind
here.
of naps where your nap just turns into, oh no, you're going to sleep now. This is bedtime today.
Yeah. I woke up I woke up briefly at 11 p.m. Went, oh shit, I gotta do my Duolingo so I don't lose my 1,000 day plus streak. So I just did the very basics, muy bueno, buenos noches, like just the basics, and then I passed back out. I wasn't gonna lose that streak. It's been 1,000 days, JD, and I still barely know Spanish.
You got it, Michelle. You got it. So we're talking about The Wailing, a 2016 Korean horror / mystery / this is one of those movies that I think rides that interesting line between what most people would call horror and thriller, but it definitely qualifies here, and that's what we're here to talk about. You said you have seen this once before. Like how long ago would you say you saw it?
Roughly a year. Although knowing how I judge time now, it could have been 5 years ago. I have no concept, but I think it was probably a year, maybe good. 5.
Yeah, I had.
This was your first time, though.
Yeah, I had never gotten around to seeing it. We should probably get into talking about it. We now it's like I said, it's not on Shudder anymore as of just maybe the last week or so. But as it turns out, the good folks at imdb.com have a really great little descripty script set up on their website. So Michelle's going to read that for us so that you guys have an idea of what this movie is about.
In case you haven't seen it, which a lot of you have. A lot of them messaged me when they found out we were doing this. And that was nice. I like getting comments and messages, you guys. Anyway, so the description from IMDb. Soon after a stranger arrives in a little village, a mysterious sickness starts spreading. A policeman drawn into the incident is forced to solve the mystery in order to save his daughter. Not even on Shudder. I can't say Shudder exclusive, original, nothing. They just dropped it. JD, why don't you tell us your spoiler-free thoughts?
My spoiler-free thoughts on The Wailing. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it did some really fun and interesting things. I feel like it absolutely did not need to be 2.5 hours long. I'm going to give this one 3.5 skulls. Okay.
3.5, which is not bad for making you read for 2.5 hours. That is not your favorite thing.
No, I like to remind people I often feel like, because I especially watch weird horror movies and stuff where often you have to be paying attention to what's going on. If I'm busy focusing on subtitles, I'm always anxious that I'm going to miss something. My focus is not the best, but we made it through. I understand this movie. The things that I love about this movie, I really, really love. Mostly there was just way more of it than I needed. And we'll talk about that when we get into the spoiler section.
Awesome. So my rating, since you asked me so nicely, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it the first time, and I feel like I enjoyed it way more than I did watching it at 90%. But I think a lot of what the charm of this film has is that you can't really guess what's going to happen. It does keep you constantly guessing, and when you think you have things figured out, you don't. That's where the thriller part of this comes in. So watching it a second time, there wasn't really a lot to surprise me, and so a lot of the opening sequences, which are just building that story and bringing you in, did feel very drawn out the second time. However, I still love it. I think Korea has some of the best horror out there. I am such a weeaboo for their horror shit. I am going to give it a 4.5.
4.5 and 3.5 is an average of 4.
Nice
not too shabby for The Wailing. Just quickly, Michelle, you would know off the top of your head better than I would. You mentioned Korean horror movies. Parasite was a Korean film, wasn't it?
Yes.
Bong Joon-ho, and he's also the guy who did Snowpiercer.
Yep. And there's also Train to Busan, and
which I still haven't seen.
Oh my God!
I'm so mad because here's what happened, Michelle. We had talked about it for a long time and how you had to see it, and then I watched. I don't remember maybe it was the 101 scariest horror movie moments or whatever they did on Shudder last October. Anyway, I watched something that just completely gives away the ending of the movie.
But the ending is not the best part of that movie. I watched the same thing, and while the ending is good, it is nowhere near the stuff that I watched that movie for.
Well, all I'm
That
saying is it
the
put me in
best
a
zombie film.
it put me in a sour mood, and then that immediately put. Anyway, we're talking about The Wailing, not Train to Busan today.
Although, if you haven't seen Train to Busan, go check that one out. But also check out The Wailing. It's on a bunch of streaming services. I watched it on Peacock. It's on Hoopla. So if you have a library card, you can go sign up for that, which is a great service. There's some garbage on there, but there's some good stuff. So.
Well, I mean, you can say that about just about any streaming service, frankly. There's some garbage. There's some good stuff.
Speaking of, Tubi's been really stepping their game up. They're not just doing Carousel and Lawmageddon anymore. There's some good stuff on Tubi.
Here's where Tubi's not stepping their game up, paying attention to where they insert the ad breaks. They're just random in the middle of a scene. I could get so much, like, don't get me wrong, I watch my share of Tubi, but I could get a whole lot more behind Tubi if they put any effort at all into ad break placement. But I imagine
it's a Tubi ad. Here I am. I'm here to talk about The Wailing. See how I just interrupted you? That's how Tubi does it.
I love well done.
Thank you. I'm really good. I'm going to be Tubi for Halloween. So we should get into the spoiler-free section.
Yeah, guys.
If for our dear listeners.
If you want to go watch The Wailing before we spoil a bunch of things about it, you're going to want to push that pause button right about now. And now we're into the spoilers section. You have been warned. Michelle.
JD, I was going to say, you haven't seen this before. I'm curious to know your first impressions before I comment on anything.
Well, don't we also want to kind of do a quick summation? Let me try and do this one.
I forgot this week. Oh, you want to do this one?
This one. Yeah, so this movie takes place in a small Korean village, and a Japanese fella comes to town. And then people start getting sick, and they also start going crazy and killing each other, and everybody kind of blames the Japanese fella because, well, they're all kind of small-town racist. And they then there's this one cop who's the main guy, and he's kind of a girly boy, which is something they say about him in the movie. That's not words that I put in this movie's mouth. Anyway, they make him out to be a real sort of, he's not a real aggressive alpha male type. But then his daughter gets sick, and he blames the Japanese guy, and then all of a sudden it looks like there might be demons or ghosts involved, and he finds his daughter's shoe at the Japanese guy's house, and then she gets sick, and she's like starting to get violent, and she kills a bunch of people, and then they kill the Japanese guy and throw his body over a cliff. And then it turns out it probably wasn't the Japanese guy at all. It was this other ghost lady, and the Japanese guy was trying to help her, or trying to stop her, which, why wouldn't he have just told them that? But that's fine. We'll talk about that later. And then basically, like, everybody dies, and it's a real bleak motherfucker of an ending, and this little, like, 12-year-old girl is just a sadistic murderer, and she killed her whole family, and then they roll the credits. Did I get pretty much all of that?
I think enough. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. I do have to say that by making the lead character a girly boy, which did make me laugh because I forgot that was from the movie, and I was like, gee.
It might have been girly man. They might have said girly
still.
Man, but I'm pretty sure it was girly boy, which is why it stuck out to me. I was just like, oh, come on.
The idea of you being like, oh man, look at this girly boy is very funny to me because that is not a thing I would expect.
I'm as girly boy as it gets, guys. I'm a big squishmallow. That's my
squishmallow.
That's my whole deal. Except for horror movies, then I like it sick.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dangerous Furby.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, so, your first impression. I'm curious.
Like I said, the things I like about this movie, I really, really like. First of all, I think it's a a really interesting story. How they layer both. It's like it's simultaneously like it's like there's a demon oppressing them and causing all these problems, and then there's also this ghost, but. And they make it really clear from the jump that this lady is a ghost, right? Like, it's so obvious, but they also steer you away from it for so long and do so many things that I almost forgot for a little while she was even there, or was like I assumed eventually that was just the only scene she was going to be in. But I like how it plays those two things off of each other until ultimately, even at the end, we're not sure which one was on our side and which one was against us, and ultimately I think maybe they were both against us, but they were also against each other, and it was just some weird, it's like, oh no, this isn't demonic oppression, this isn't haunted by a ghost, this is fucking both of them, you got cancer and AIDS, and you're gonna die twice, and it's not gonna be good. And I thought that was really interesting. This girl who plays the cop's daughter was amazing. Hwan Hee Kim is her name. The character was
Also starts with an H.
Yeah, Hyojin. And I apologize if I'm butchering these pronunciations. I thought all of the performances here were really good. I just thought so much of it was just something that I've said before. This movie is way too slow to be this long. There's so much of this that just lingered and lingered and lingered, and I feel like you could have very easily told this same story and shaved at least 45 minutes off of the running time of the movie. I thought everything they did was executed well. All the performances were great. I really fucking love, probably the high watermark of the movie for me was that sequence where it's basically like a montage ritual battle where like the good shaman is doing his death hex and the Japanese guy is in his hut doing whatever it is that he's doing. I thought that was really well done, the way they put those together and made it obvious that what was happening here was this isn't just two things that they're putting together side by side for metaphor. Like, these are happening at the same time. These guys are basically having a shaman battle in the middle of this movie. I thought that was great. When the good guy, or at least we assume the good guy shaman, the human shaman, comes to the cop's house at the end and starts just like gushing blood and some kind of white mucky mucus out of his nose and mouth, just gross as fuck. I thought that was really well done. I thought the effects were good here. I liked almost all of the individual elements of this. It was like somebody had challenged me to eat an absurd amount of food, and I was able to do it, and wouldn't even say I didn't enjoy it, but I did feel like it was way too much at the end.
That's a really good way to put it. Okay, the little girl in this, phenomenal actress, as you pointed out. But the part where they begin the exorcism and they are just like throwing bells in her face and stuff, and she's just screaming. She wasn't even possessed at that point. I related to her so much. I laughed so hard. The beginning of this movie does start out with so many comedic moments. Like you said, it's kind of establishing that this guy is I had a really good word for it. But yeah, he's just like a lovable oaf. And then when he kills the Japanese man's dog, you're like, oh, okay, I'm okay with bad things happening to this guy. And I felt that was a good way to switch it, because we're still kind of feeling for him and his love for his daughter. But then it kind of starts unraveling like, oh yeah, this guy is cheating on his wife. I remember that. And oh yeah, he just murdered a dog gruesomely, and he's not doing any sort of police work. He's just kind of a vigilante. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm not 100% on the side of this guy, but you still relate to him and you still want to see what plays out. You don't completely like you don't rebel against him because maybe it was a demonic dog. Who knows? I love the effects. That blood gushing part that you pointed out. Also, all of the prosthetics of these kind of zombie creatures, whatever they're afflicted with, is so interesting. The way that these people act when they are afflicted with this thing and then ultimately die is very unnerving. I agree.
Yeah,
that the
they
movie,
do that. They do that back scorpion thing that always just makes me fucking cringe. Ugh.
Yeah, I can. No, gross. I love it though.
You
show
mix
me
that
more
in
of it,
with
but
some.
don't make me do it.
Yeah, you mix that in with some really good like celery crunching bone sound
Yep.
effects, and fuck,
Yeah,
good stuff. Good
so
stuff.
crunchy.
Yeah.
Then like you were saying about this is too long, but the content is good. I think that's why I don't mind the length. I didn't even remember it was that long. That wasn't a thing I thought about when I heard that the Wailing was suggested. Because to me, it never felt slow. I know to you it felt kind of like it drug on. Every little element of this, even though it felt a little unnecessary in the second watch just because I knew what was happening, it all felt like it had a purpose. It all brought me into it. I feel like this didn't take a while to ramp up like a lot of horror films do. They didn't really take a half hour to establish the story and then throw you into it. Constantly there are things going on to remind you this is a horror / thriller with weird things. There's a naked woman standing outside the police station for no reason.
Oh, I love how they did that scene.
Yeah.
When he first sees her, like, we don't see her. We just see his reaction to seeing her, and I thought it's just the kind of thing you don't see terribly often, and I thought it was really well done.
Isn't that the Hitchcock effect that you had mentioned before?
Yeah, that's
show
the Alfred
their
Hitchcock
reaction.
Thing. Yeah,
Yep.
show a thing, then show somebody reacting to the thing.
Oh,
and
it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's sort of this pure cinema effect or something. But anyway, I just really loved how they played that out. I do like how this movie is it's very much oddly timely in the way that like it plays on xenophobia and toxic masculinity, and how like, yes, this guy's daughter getting sick is definitely part of what shifts him into that more violent place. But there's also a very decent amount of like he's getting like he catches a lot of crap from his coworkers and friends. Like after that scene at the burned down house when the creepy people kind of grab his arm and he freaks out or whatever, and he has to like I think maybe the implication there was maybe he soiled himself, and that's why he at least got really dirty, but like they had to bring him clean clothes to work from home and all of this. And there's very much an amount of like a certain amount of piling on this guy of just like, man, like, would you just get it together? And then he kind of breaks in bad ways, obviously. But so yeah, I thought that was interesting development. I just I feel like, for like I said, for everything there's like for example, we had two different ritual sequences here with the shaman, right? You have the first ritual where he's trying to get things taken care of, and then you do the death hex. I feel like you could have condensed that into a single moment in the film. I think there's just a lot of stuff where they do a decent amount of reiterating or reinforcing things that I've already completely caught on to. I feel like you could, like I said, I feel like you could have told this same story, because, again, part of why I haven't watched this movie until now is, like, man, 2.5 hours is a heck of an investment, and I don't regret that I watched it, but also I'm not certain this is one that I will ever watch again for that reason.
I do want to talk about the ending a little bit, because you think that it was two demons kind of playing against each other and not necessarily...
it was a devil and a ghost.
Yes. Okay. So two, let me rephrase, supernatural entities rather,
Sure.
playing against each other, and that neither of
Oh
them
no,
cared.
no. What I'm saying is I don't know what. Like maybe that's what it was. Maybe one of them was
Yeah.
the bad guy, one of them was the good guy. Maybe neither one of them were. Maybe they were fighting each other but fighting us at the same time. I don't know. I found by the end of it I wasn't 100% certain what the hell was going on.
Interesting. I absolutely thought that the woman ghost was trying to help him. And by the way, that entire scene of her saying, wait until the rooster crows 3 times is so suspenseful because you know that this man
Did you
who
think
is
so?
not very smart. You didn't agree?
No, I thought it went on.
Really?
I thought it went on way too long.
Oh, I was very into it because I know bumbling. That's the word I was going to use for him. This bumbling man.
Oh, he is a
was,
bumbler for sure.
Yeah, he is the epitome of bumbling. He is more bumbly than a bee. Silly. Anyway, we knew that he was going to break this eventually, and we knew it was building up to something horrific because there was no way that it was going to be something small that he walked into with the way that the rest of the movie had done the horror element. It was going to be bad. There was going to be blood everywhere, as it turned out. So just waiting for that rooster to crow the 3rd time, I was also on the edge of my seat. I think it's interesting that you weren't, but I think part of it is that I 100% believed that for whatever reason, the ghost was trying to get him to stay there. And I felt like she was just trying to do it in this very, I don't know, ghost mysterious way, just like how she threw rocks at him instead of talking to him. I loved her character, the way that she had made that good shaman bleed everywhere and throw up. Like I was on her side the whole time, and still not sure how I feel about the human shaman, if he was just an idiot and she knew that, and so she's trying to get him away from it.
Well, I wanna ask you about the human shaman, as long as we're talking about the end
Sure.
there, because obviously one of the very last things we see is the human shaman shows up at the murder house where the girl has just gone apeshit and slaughtered everybody. And yeah, I get it. The ghost lady was like, if you don't wait, then your whole family is gonna die, and as it turns out, she was right. Except for the girl. But how did you interpret, or what did you take from, if anything, the fact that the last thing we see in this movie is the human shaman taking photos of the corpse of the cop, which is exactly what the Japanese guy, who may have been some kind of shaman, did to other people, ostensibly to get them, like, as part of his magic rituals against them. But also, I'm not sure if you caught this, but the camera that the human shaman is using is the exact same camera the Japanese man was using.
I did not catch that they were the exact same camera. It did. Well, now I'm feeling less convinced of my answer, but I felt like he was not doing the right thing up until that point, but that his intentions were good. He was just, again, another bumbling man who happened to be a shaman in this case.
I can see that.
Yep. And then when he was taking the photos, I couldn't explain why. But he is a shaman. So I thought, this obviously lends doubt to what is going on and whether he is a good person, but that everything had been so mysterious about him up to this point anyway, that maybe this was, taking photos to learn from mistakes or something.
Sure.
There was enough doubt. So I wasn't 100% positive still that he was good, but that's kind of where I landed, because up until that point, I had obviously gone back and forth, but I don't know. I still am not fully sure, but I think that's why I like this so much, is because every little detail this is a very detailed film. Everything feels very deliberate, and I like analyzing it. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not 100. I might watch the last 30 minutes or so of this again, just to see if I can kind of deduce how I feel the ending actually plays out. But yeah, I very much got this impression that by the end of it that that this was actually like just an unfortunate confluence of multiple bad things happening to this village all at the same time. But I don't know. It definitely layered some shit on at the end there that I was just like, what the fuck is? And like I said, that camera is what, because they went out of their way to show you the camera when the Japanese man was taking pictures of the priest in his cave after he. And that's another thing that I wanted to point out for sure.
Yeah, I guess we haven't talked about that.
How did I go through this entire movie and just never put two and two together that the Japanese guy was the crazy demon monster eating people in all of these other sequences, the diaper man?
I don't know.
How did I not figure that out until they showed it to me right there? The Japanese man is the diaper demon.
They looked identical to me, so that was never a reveal.
Yeah, I never put it together. I felt real silly, but
okay.
But yeah, so I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to take from this. Like I said, I did enjoy it. I don't regret seeing it. I thought it was really well done. I definitely want to see more from the people who made this. But I don't know that I would ever give this one a second watch, just because for me, again, it was very slow.
If you're feeling like watching a 2.5 hour movie that isn't Titanic, which is very timely right now, may I suggest a movie that I still don't think you've watched, and I've watched several times, RRR. The 3-hour long film on Netflix. If you're going to devote an afternoon to a movie, it's got to be that one.
What you should have done
it so
there,
many
Michelle,
times.
is you should have said Train to Busan.
Yeah, but that's not 3.5 hours. I guess you could watch Train to Busan twice.
I've
done that back to back because I really like that movie. I will give a quick surprise mini reveal for listeners who have made it this far that we will be doing a new segment, and in that new segment, which will be revealed at the end of the month, beginning of next month, somewhere around there, I do have some additional Train to Busan content to bring to the table that is not actually from the Train to Busan movie. So tune in later, or don't tune in again ever. I get it. People have abandoned me my whole life. Why don't you just become one of them,
Michelle?
Listener?
Michelle, they love us. It's fine. Leo, thank you so much for the suggestion on this one, man. Like I said, I've been looking for an extra push to finally get it off my watch list, and I did that. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was definitely a good time. The effects here were crazy good. It definitely put some creepy atmosphere out there. And if you guys have anything that you'd like us to watch from the Shudder archive when we do one of these archive episodes, they don't have new releases, you can do what Leo did. Shoot us an email, mail@wewatchshudder.com. As I mentioned up top, you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It's @WeWatchShudder, all of those places. We've got a website called wewatchshudder.com. And if you have a moment, if you could swing by your podcast provider and give us a rating, and if you have an extra moment, a review, that would be super, super helpful for us, and we would very much appreciate it.
We definitely read the reviews, and we take criticism from them. So
we try.
You're not like mean to us, but I mean, we've changed different things about the show where we went, oh yeah, from a third person perspective, we've never thought of that.
We should probably stop doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we should stop reading the reviews.
No. I mean, we should stop doing that thing that we didn't realize we were doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Eventually, I will stop laughing all the time.
That was a poorly timed and worded comment. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, guys.
I prefer the idea of we should stop taking advice.
This is what happens when we record in the afternoon. Michelle, I got to get out of here and get going to go host a trivia game. And this is how much we appreciate you guys, right? We will carve out, if we have to, we will find an hour in the middle of the day to be able to get that episode done and get it put up for you. This one will be dropping in about 6 hours from when we're sitting here. That means nothing to you guys. For you, it dropped like 30 seconds ago or 2 days ago or whenever. But
In the future.
In the past.
I have to go hang out in a basement and watch my friend play scary video games.
Yeah, this is the thing Michelle does.
What I'm
she
doing.
goes over to her friend's house, and they go down into the basement, and they turn all the lights off, and they project the scary video game up onto the wall on a big screen. And she just sits there and watches somebody play a scary video game.
Watching video games is one of my favorite things. We can get into it on another episode. But,
I'm not going to yuck nobody's yum.
Yeah.
Not going to yuck nobody's yum.
In the beginning episode, video games are a big reason that I got into horror movies. So...
Thanks for joining us again, guys. We will be back next week. We're finally going to be talking about quicksand.
Finally.
Quicksand, which got rescheduled and we didn't know.
Slower than somebody standing in quicksand would have. I'm smart.
That was clever. Say goodnight,
Thanks.
Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.